Hello everyone. As you saw in the title, today's video is going to be reacting to a debate. This is not necessarily meant to be a critique of everything, but it is a way to be able to understand how to have debates effectively. I feel I should note that it obviously depends on the purpose of the debate and who you are debating and what resources you have access to. Some debates are more about persuasion, while others are more about finding truth or just understanding different perspectives. So, keep in mind that not every tip will apply the same way in every situation, but they are still useful habits to build. Okay, I stopped here and you might be confused why I did since this is so early. I stopped here because I want you to just look at the environment and tell me what you see. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, what did you notice? If you look below Destiny and Ben, you'll realize that they both have a notepad below them. This is actually one of my main pieces of advice when it comes to having debates. A lot of the time, someone will point out multiple points at once. And a way to be able to remember them all is to have something as simple as a notepad, though you can also use a computer. With this, it becomes much easier to break down every point into detail. It also helps you stay organized so you are not jumping around randomly trying to remember what was said. Even something as simple as bullet points can make a huge difference in how clearly you respond.
In terms of the basic idea that people ought to have as much opportunity as possible, and also insofar as the government should do the minimum amount necessary to interfere in people's lives in order to pursue certain functions, particularly at the local level.
All right. Another good thing about debates, especially if the purpose is to educate, is to recognize common ground. You can tell Ben is doing this because he just described what they share a belief in. This can help because when a person understands that you are not total opposites, they may be able to come to reasoning easier. It lowers defensiveness and makes the conversation feel more cooperative rather than being combative. When people feel like they are being understood, they are generally more open to hearing what you have to say next.
Has the job of government is to maintain, for example, national defense, protection of property rights, protection of religious freedom. Right? These are the key focuses of government as generally expressed in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
Okay, here's a little exercise. Based on what you just heard, what should you write down on the notepad? Well, an example could be as simple as this. First, at the top, you make a header for the section and call it something like government funded. Then, under this section, you can put down what he mentions. This is important, especially if for the future you want to point out a contradiction, or if they maybe say, oh, hey, we shouldn't have the government fund this, but earlier they said that the government should fund that thing. It also helps you track how their argument develops over time instead of just reacting in the moment. That way, your responses can be more structured and less emotional.
Conversation because I consider you to be really intelligent. But I feel like sometimes there are ways that conservatives talk about.
This might be the most confusing one you may have seen me stop so far. This one is something that a lot of people do not realize, and some would consider stupid, and is actually important. Destiny, at the end, said, are you ready for this? But. I know, it may sound stupid, but just listen to me. Saying but is not necessarily wrong. However, saying but can get people to feel like you are disagreeing with what they are saying. For example, if I said, yes, I agree that humans should not die, but you're going to immediately be like, what do you mean, but? Are humans not deserving to live? When all I was going to say after that, but, is that I like chocolate or something. So if you can try to say and instead of but, it is not always going to be possible to do it, but it still can help when it is possible. Small wording changes like that can actually keep conversations smoother than you would expect. Also, I'm going to make another point really quickly. If you can, in a debate, try to never get irritated. Even if someone says something that you are on the opposite side of, if you start to get emotional, then it turns from a learning experience into who can own the other first by seeing who makes the first mistake in their wording. It can obviously be very hard to control when talking about an emotional topic, but if you want someone to have the highest probability of changing their views, then that is the way to do it. Staying calm also makes you come across as more credible and in control of your argument. And one last thing, always make sure that when they do, quote unquote, prove your point, you do not shove it in their face. This is meant to be learning, so if you act like it's a competition where someone wins, the other side will tend to replicate that behavior. Okay, back to the video.
Only move in one direction. It tends to move actually back and forth.
Sure. I don't think that all of history moves in one direction.
This is actually going to be my final clip for today. Since the video isn't meant to talk about their points, it is more so about good habits to build while debating. I stopped here because Destiny had made a point earlier by saying that history moves in one direction. Now, Destiny is retracting, or you could say rephrasing, onto his point, and rephrasing it to fit, oh well, I put it in the script. Anyways, to fit what he actually meant by that statement. This is good because you need to realize when you mispronounced something or just said something that was wrong on accident, as well as pointing out what was messed up. Being able to correct yourself in real time shows honesty and makes your argument stronger, not weaker. It shows that you care more about accuracy than just being right. Also, I know I said that was the last point, but I want to make it clear that when you are debating, it is really easy to go really fast. I would suggest not doing that because so many, and I mean so many points fly by that you can't even make notes fast enough. So, I would recommend slowing down and handling one point at a time instead of throwing 50 points in the same sentence. When you slow down, you give both yourself and the other person time to actually process what is being said. This leads, in return, to a much more productive conversation overall. All right, this has been a pretty simple video, at least compared to my other one, though I still hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. But don't forget to like and subscribe only if you like the video. Please come back to watch another video. Please, I need more viewers. Oh, please. Goodbye.